So, what's up?
Yeah, not much. Just at home.
How
Can't
you
go
find?
anywhere, so stuck.
Yeah, how you finding the isolation stuff?
Uh, I'm actually, do you know, I'm actually quite enjoying it for now, anyway. Because I'm like still doing uni and things like that. Then I'm basically just working from home, which is very handy.
What do you do at university?
Sports science.
Oh, nice. How many years is that
Yeah.
course?
It's 4 years, but I finish in a few weeks, so I'm in fourth year. So yeah.
Lots of projects then, is it?
Yeah, well, I'm doing my dissertation, but we're researching, and then obviously all this kicked off, and we didn't get to finish our last few testing sessions. So we were like, I don't know, like 10 sessions away from like fully completing our research project. In terms of the research, and we got told we can't go back into the lab. So I think our lecturer's having to kind of modify our data a little bit.
That means make it up.
Yeah, pretty much.
uh, but sure. Just to start off with somebody like maybe the Taekwondo chat. Um, if you like, you said you listened to the podcast. Anybody else listen knows I tend to start with like how you started. So, like, how did you get involved in Taekwondo?
Yeah, it was a few years ago now, so I would have been, I think I was 8 when I started, 8 or 9, which actually in terms of nowadays is quite old, really. Um, but yeah, my brother started actually before I did, uh, and I was always that kid that was like, I want to try that, I want to do that, I want to do that. So yeah, he was doing it, and because he was doing it, I needed to do it, so I started it as well. And then yeah, after that, just been going ever since, really.
So so you were training. So you're going about 10 years
To will be
more. Sorry,
I think
13, 14 years.
yeah, I think I'm 13 or 14 this year. Yeah, must be about that.
It's a long time, long time.
Yeah, it's a lifetime that.
But yeah, it's mad when you think like 8 or 9 kind of is a little bit late. Well, not late in terms of your ability to do well in the sport, but just in terms of like the general age that people start is a little bit later. Like
Yeah, and
I was 7, close to 8, which like that is you see some people start training at 3 or 4. So, but I actually think uh, being that little bit older, being 7, 8, 9 is nearly a better time to start because you're just a bit more coordinated. You have a little bit more understanding about like just how to move, and your attention is a little bit better. Like just wanting to jump around the place. You're wanting to like you can actually come in and actually take part in the sport.
yeah, definitely. Some of the kids I teach, yeah, we like our class at 3, so they're just about games and getting them moving and teaching them a little bit of discipline and all the rest of it. But yeah, I definitely think kind of the age I was at was probably about the right time for me.
And did then like as a color belt, did you compete a lot as a color belt?
Yeah, initially, I don't think you were allowed to compete really um, until you were about yellow belt when I was younger. So I did compete a little bit, kind of early grades. It's really hard to kind of remember. I remember doing my first ever tournament though, and I think I'd bombed out of all my individual events, and then we had this team sparring event. There was only 3 of us from my club, and we were just like little tiny 7-year-old yellow belts, and it was just absolute mental sparring. But yeah, it was one of my, I think probably still one of my standouts. Yeah, so it was 3v3, and then I think my team had drawn with another team, and I got put up against this absolute enormous person. But it's like in team sparring when you're fighting for your
Yeah.
team and you're not fighting for yourself. And I just absolutely went for it, and we actually won it. And to be fair, like even now, that's probably one of my favorite memories. But yeah, through like the rest of my color belts, I think it was more towards like blue and red, green a little bit more. That really started to compete a little bit more.
And would you have had a preference like at that time to like patterns over sparring or sparring over patterns? Would you have had a favorite event, or would you have favored more one than the other?
Uh, when I was younger, I was definitely patterns, without a doubt.
Yeah, I was the same.
Yeah, 100%. I used to just get battered all the time.
I was kind of the same. Yeah, I was granted. I found I was always okay sparring in the club, but then we go to the competition and I'd do nothing. Would just lose first round. Like
Yeah,
if I got a bronze, I was doing really well. And then I got to about blue belt and I started to maybe get to the final. But like that, like I was saying to Giles the other day, I maybe only won 4 actual gold medals in sparring as a colour belt. Um, I got a couple of bronzes and stuff, but like, most of my medals, gold medals, would have been in patterns, and I would have preferred patterns. I wouldn't have really. I never really cared how I did in the sparring at the tournaments because usually I had a medal in patterns and I was happy enough with that.
yeah, that's really similar to me. I was always up there, golds and silvers for patterns, like through all the grades pretty much. But I was kind of like, I knew that I could do patterns, and the sparring, like when I was younger, I was so small. I was just tiny, and I just got absolutely hammered all the time. That, and when I was really young, so I was like yellow and green, probably into blue belt. Um, like I've got really terrible eyesight, so I always had to wear one of those like proper face shields because it was before the time that you could get like sports goggles and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was awful. Everyone just stared at you, and I was like, oh, this is really uncomfortable because I had to wear this like mask over my face.
So you stood out as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and just nightmare really.
And so then, what age were then? You would have been. What age were you when you got the black belt?
uh, 13, 13 when I got my black belt.
And was it pretty much
So
straight? It was pretty much straight into national team then, wasn't it? Just
yeah, my first campaign was 2012. So I think I was 14 about a week before the tournament.
just made it in.
Um,
That's
yeah, my birthday is the start of April, so I made it in by the skin of my teeth. But again, I was only there to do patterns. I didn't spar for my first one. I was just too light and I had no confidence, so I didn't get put in for sparring. But patterns and team
yeah.
patterns it was.
Like that might have been better off if you were only just making it at 14 and could have been stepping out against an 18-year-old who has 4 or 5 tournaments behind him, a lot more experience. It's like
Yeah,
maybe that first one
I
of
remember watching it as well. I watched it and I was just like, yeah, there is no way that I'd be able to cope with that. So it was definitely the right decision. It kind of gave me that little bit of insight into what I needed to kind of the level that I needed to bring myself up to before I could even do that. So yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. It's funny saying time and time again to people like the first one really is just figuring out what, like, just seeing what it's all about, like seeing the level you have to get to. Because I think like that you go to the first one thinking you can do all right and hoping that you're good enough, but then you kind of step away going, I know I wasn't there, I'm not ready at all, I need to up my game big time, and that's the level I need to get to.
Yeah, I think you always think like, oh yeah, I'm number one in my country or whatever. Like training in the club and you're managing to beat people. You step out on the mats at Euros. It's a totally different ball game completely.
Definitely, yeah. And but you started like but you won a medal in the next, you sparred in the year after, wasn't it? Sweden, you got a medal in Sweden for sparring.
Yeah, I sparred under 45, which that's light. Um, sparred under 45 there and got gold for that. But that was an interesting one as well because there was 2 in my category for it. Just me and an English girl. So there was just the 2. But I remember being like, oh, I really don't want to kind of be in it. Like, if I medal, like people are gonna think like if like say if I got silver or whatever, people are just gonna think I got it for being there or whatever. But I remember my instructor saying to me like the way that you've trained for it and it's like it's not your fault that there's nobody in it. Like you've done better than all the people that haven't entered. So that kind of pushed on to do it for that one, and it really was. It was good. It was a good moment, that one. Kind of
Well,
gave me the confidence boost for going to the rest of them.
well, like I didn't even I didn't know there was only 2 in it. I just knew that you had a medal and done really well. Like, so I'd even gold. Like, so people, maybe over time people forget how many people are in the division.
Yeah, definitely.
All I remember is the gold medal.
Yeah, well, that's all you need to remember, isn't it?
And but like, so how many times then did you win? How many times did you win as a junior? How many Euros?
4.
4. So, because a
Mm-hmm.
successful junior career, to say.
Yes, I did 5 Euros as a junior, and I sparred in 4 and won 4.
It's good record. Good record.
Yeah,
And you did patterns at all of them as well, did you?
yeah. I did patterns. Did first degree. I would have been 2012 to 2014. I was in first degree patterns. Pretty much quarterfinal exits for all of them, which was always hard to take. Just always tapping on the door for them, but never could cross the line, I suppose. And then second degree 2015 through to 2018. Yeah, 2018 it turned. No, well, yeah, 2015 onwards, I would have been in second degree patterns. So yeah, it was mostly second degree. I quite often came away with bronze, which was quite good. But same thing, I could never just get to that next level with them.
Yeah, it's hard when you're a multi-eventer, when you're trying to balance the patterns and the sparring, and when you're, especially I think when you're doing well in one event, like you're picking up medals and sparring, it can be hard then to really try and focus in on the patterns and give that everything that it might need to take gold there, especially when you're going against people who are just doing patterns.
Yeah, definitely. Like, some people they're just there doing technique stuff. They're like day after day in their gyms, and I was like if you're multi-event, you're trying to balance. One day you need to do fitness, one day you need to do drills, next day you need to do technique, kick-ins, flexibility. Like, you do need to just be able to do everything, and it is really hard to be able to be top dog in both, I suppose. So
Yeah,
talk to the people that can actually completely do it. But yeah,
but
I still enjoy patterns, so that's always kind of why I did them anyway.
yeah, I was just say I do enjoy them, but like I kind of stepped away from patterns because I was looking at, like, am I really going to put the time it would take to win at 4 to 6 degree patterns? Which the answer was no. Like when you're looking at Lillian's winning, and that's all he does. It's like, am I going to put that time in? No, because I'd have to take some time away from sparring training, which I didn't really want to do. So like that, I still enjoyed them. I'll probably go back to them at some point, but right now I just stepped away from them. But like that, I don't think there is, like, if you look, I don't think there is many, especially at senior, there isn't many people who do both, who win in both of them.
No, I don't think so. Not anymore. I mean, probably the only one that I could really think of off the top of my head is Sylvia. Sylvia Faragi. She used to do both the double, but
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, no, you're right. There's probably very few.
Maxime Boujol we used to win them both.
Oh yeah.
But since, again, not that many people, it's just so hard. I think especially when you go to senior, because you really get down and then into the specialists, people who are just doing patterns, and then people who are just doing sparring. And because I think at that time as well, you figured out what you're actually good at. Like at junior, you're kind of in all the events and you don't really know, and you're picking up a medal here and a medal in this, and then by the time you're at senior, well, my best chance of a medal is in this event, so I'm going to focus more there, and then you end up one event ends up dropping off.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, like with junior tournaments, the kind of the groups of people used to change so much with, like what's like people not competing because of exams or can't make it because they can't afford it or whatever. So I think the junior pools used to change a lot, but senior nowadays, you look at the list of names and you're like, yeah, I know who that is. Yeah, I know who that is. I know who that is. Because they're just people that have been around for so long and know what they're doing and all the rest of it. So yeah, definitely worth kind of knowing your strengths and weaknesses are, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, senior. It's it's kind of funny that you just know straight away. Like there's those 5, 6, 7 names that you just see every time. You're just like, oh yeah, they're just a
Yeah,
regular in the division. And then you have the new ones who maybe step
definitely.
up from junior.
Yeah, I think nowadays as well, like you were saying with Giles as well, like even myself, I had so many campaigns as a junior. By the time I was senior, like second nature anyway. There's no seniors nowadays really that come in for their first tournament and have never done like a Euros or a Worlds. It's rare to find that nowadays.
Yeah, like there is actually nobody jumping out who wouldn't have competed at a couple of times as a junior and then stepped into senior. There's one of the few that you would I don't know if you remember him from 2012, the Dmitry guy from Ukraine. He won 63. He fought Torel in the
Yeah,
final.
yeah, vaguely actually. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I think that was his first. I think I'm pretty sure that was his first championships, um, in our ITF anyway. And he ended up obviously winning the 63 division. But like that, he stands out because it doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you remember it, I suppose. And
Is there anybody? I'm trying to think, is there anybody else? But I don't think so. Like most people, even if it was only one tournament as a junior, like it's still something. There's nobody who comes in really first time senior and does
no,
really well. Because it's even just how to handle like the nerves of the whole week. Because I think sometimes you get there like on a Wednesday and you mightn't be competing till a Saturday, and you have those couple of days where you're sitting there nervous and it's building up, it's building up, it's building up, and it takes a couple of times, it takes a couple of goes around to kind of how to deal with those nerves and get used to it and know how to get in the right mindset to perform on the day that you are actually performing.
yeah, definitely. I think as well, like when they do, I would like now in more recent years they've like started taking like proper lunch breaks and a couple hours between um sort of the afternoon and the morning bits of the tournaments. And if like I know for me, I need a fight or so to kind of wake up and get going. And like last year when I was at the Worlds, I think I was on for 2 fights, and then they shut down for lunch, and then I had a fight, and then that was me in the semis, which were then 2 days later, and then I had to break, and then I had the final, and it was just so bitting. Yeah, you definitely need to know how to kind of control your head in that time, like keep yourself focused, but also know how to relax and not burn your energy on all your nerves.
Yeah, like even the Worlds in Dublin, the way the draw worked out was there was about 3 matches in the first round who will say I didn't get a bye. So then I had to spare maybe second match. I think it was like second match in the division. But then when I went through, the person who kind of had the bye that I should have been winning to fight it was from maybe it was from a country who did. I can't think of what the country was now. Uh, I can't remember exactly, but they didn't turn up. So then I actually had like a bye in my second round. So I fought the first round, and then I had like an hour and a half nearly of a wait by the time they went through all the draw back down from the top down to where I should have got the bye, and then back up and then back down again. So it was like I was waiting ages for the second match, and then I had 2 matches. The lunch break happened, fought the semi final, and then it was another break until they started running the finals. So I was like, the division started at 11 o'clock, and I didn't fight the final until maybe 5.
It's just mental that
Just
actually,
spread out. Like you said, with the way it was in Germany, you had to wait a couple of days to even fight the semi final and final.
yeah, and it's a different as well, like over the length, like, or over the duration of the full day, you had like you were on and off, and so you had to switch on and off. Like it was the same for me. I had to go back to my hotel, like speak to my teammates. Like it was just the regular evening. The next day, I was walking around the tournament, like watching other people sparring and people coming up to me like, "Oh, you're in the semis tomorrow, like good luck." And I was like, "Oh God, yeah, like yeah, I am actually. I need to keep remembering that." And it's
That
really
you're not
hard to be
actually
able
finished.
to, yeah, that you're done, but also not constantly just think about it, because otherwise it's a bit detrimental as well, like if it's just always on your mind. So yeah, I definitely have the people that can, they've been there, done that type of thing as well, and they help keep you busy, but not busy enough that you forget, I suppose.
Did you like to have the semi-finals and finals on their own separate day? Would you like to see that happen again, or would you prefer to just run the division on the same day?
Probably just run it, to be honest. I think by the time you get to day 2, you've already started to feel up all the bruises and bumps that you've taken from 2 days ago, and like I say, getting back to that headspace and not letting it overwhelm was yeah, it's tricky, but I think one day and you're just there, you just do the job, and then that's it. You can enjoy the rest of the tournament.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah, like when I was when I've done worlds and that in the past, it's all just been over and done within the same day. Like there's been lulls and whatever between bouts, but I think it's easier just to keep yourself away from normality for the day rather than have to drag it across too.
yeah, because in Germany, my initial thought was I really enjoyed it. I think I liked having the spread across 2 days, but I was on the Friday evening, so it was like I had only just finished. It was like go back to the hotel, get some dinner, go to bed, get up and fight the semi final. So it was only like it
Yeah,
wasn't. I didn't have a day of thinking about it, and because I had a tough match in the quarter final, it was kind of like great. I kind of felt it was great, right, to get a break and then come back for another tough match in the semi-finals. I got my chance to kind of rest and reset and get my mind in the right place, but I didn't have a lot of time to think about it. So that's where initially I was like, oh yeah, it's great. I'd love to see that happen all the time. But then when I think about the people who had to wait a day or two before they had to fight, I could see maybe that's not the best. I could see why other people wouldn't like it.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's probably quite ideal for you. Like, it's good sometimes if you've had that
Check
tough
works.
match that's really kind of pushed you physically and mentally, then you sometimes just need that little bit of a rest to take it all in and digest before you move on to the next one. So yeah, definitely ideal for some of it anyway.
Yeah. And I found like it was kind of Richie kind of made the point at the time that maybe for some people it was nearly good that at the end of the first day getting to the semi final they kind of got like it felt like a win that you kind of got to like at the team meeting you got a clap from your teammates. It was like, oh well done, you got to the semi final. It was like they were on a high from that, is it like just getting the medal, and then they got to maybe have another high again then of maybe going and winning another medal, like going and maybe getting to the final. So then they got another high. So it was like because it was split up, like you got it kind of helped a small bit. But again, I don't think that the waiting between the 2 days isn't ideal. I don't think really. Um, but this you stepped out. Germany was the first time you moved up to 56. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yep, first 56 it was.
Well, was there a standout reason for prompting the change in weight division, or
Oh, it's just I suppose the standard reason was that it was bloody brutal trying to get to 50 for the last time. Yeah, it was just my last 50. I think I was just hitting that point where I was like, it's just becoming more about a weight cut rather than just training for the sake of training to win or training to compete. Like it was just training to cut weight all the time, and it just wasn't so enjoyable. And I was like, I've done what I need to do at 50. Like it's time to give myself a new challenge and step up the game a little bit. So yeah, just for the sake of kind of my own health and well-being, I was like, yeah, it's time.
yeah, like you said, just enjoyment of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it feels so much better when I train nowadays. Like I can I can go out for meals and stuff as well, like, and I don't have to like worry about it. When I was counting my final 50s, I was like, my birthday is always like the week before the championships, and I'm always like, oh, I'm not having any birthday cake or anything like that. So now it's just bliss. I can have a little bit of a life, and I can really knuckle down and put my all in training because I'm not fit or anything like that. So yeah, it definitely was the right time, and I mean it paid off. So
Yeah, I was just going to say it was obviously like first time at 56, you win the World Championships. It was obviously a good move.
oh, that just froze.
But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
here we go.
yeah, like I say, like, move it first time going to 56, you win the World Championships. So it was obviously a good move to make.
Definitely. I mean, I think I kind of did my time at 50 as well. I mean, I competed in 50s from 2015 to 2018. So yeah, by the time I was hitting 56, I was more than ready to kind of take the jump and like go for it, I suppose. And yeah, there was definitely like a difference. I could feel it when I was competing against the different weight class and all the rest of it. Like the girls are taller, they're kind of more sturdy on their feet, like in terms of they're probably not even 56 by the time they're sparring, same as what I was like when I was 50. So yeah, there's definitely a difference, but I enjoyed it. I actually think probably that's not because of the result, but actually one of my best tournaments in terms of like performance as well. So yeah, it was a
Yeah,
good move.
because you were tall for 50. So like then like when you stepped into 56, you're kind of just the same height as everybody else. Like it's not like you were going to be any smaller than those people, those girls.
No, definitely not. I remember my instructor saying to me like when we were thinking about it, because obviously it's a bit of a nerve wracking decision just to kind of take that leap. But he was like, you're not going to be any smaller or any weaker than any of the other people in that division. Like you're already tall for the weight that you're at. So yeah, it was definitely that helped, I suppose, when I moved in. That in terms of stature, not that that's everything in a sparring bout, but yeah, it definitely helped that I wasn't out of my depth.
Yeah, being being tall in this sport kind of definitely helps.
Yeah,
Tall with a good
and
front leg.
a little bit lanky in the legs. Yeah, that's kind of me.
I think that's even like if you see, especially like you said, it's when you look at the junior divisions, like there's a because you can't really. It's so hard to plan for who's going to be in the division. If you're tall with a good front leg, like a flexible front leg that you can kick, like you're built that you're going to have a good chance of winning.
Yeah,
It's like it
I
doesn't.
think it's
You have to,
always for a long, long time. That's always been the bread and butter. That if you've got that, like you can you can attack, you can defend. Like you're pretty much sorted in terms of keeping yourself safe and getting points. But yeah, definitely.
and the Worlds in Germany. How many matches did you have? Did you said it was 5 matches? You said, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, 5.
Would that have been the most you've had at the championships?
Um, I don't. I think I've probably hit 5 a couple of times. Um, because I've had 2 World Cups as well. So one junior, one senior. So I think 2008, no, 2016. That was Budapest. I think I must have done 4 or 5 rounds then as well to get to the final. So yeah, I'm definitely not a stranger to having 4 or 5 rounds of
Yeah,
sparring, but um, it's something I actually enjoy having because I know if I can hit round 4 or round 5, then I've done a good job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I've only because I only had happened to have the 5 matches once, which was the Worlds in Ireland. The other couple of times that it's been 4 matches. So I remember thinking at the time it was only after I thought, geez, we've never had to actually go to 5. You kind of train expecting you'll have 5 because it's like that, on average, like that's what most of the divisions kind of take to win. But just with the 57, the way it worked out was like all the time I'd always have 4. So that's on
Hmm.
my 5. But yeah, it's kind of it's tough. Like it's an achievement to win 5 matches in a row. Like it's on like all on one day. It's
Yeah, definitely, and it's hard. Like, it takes a lot to be able to maintain energy and things like that over that period of time. Like, even with your rest and things like that, to know even just what to do in the rest periods, what to eat, like all that sort of stuff. It's just a skill in itself to be able to keep yourself going for those 5 rounds. At the end of the day, it doesn't just come down to like your aerobic capacity or anything like that. Like a whole kind of recipe of things that you need.
yeah, I do think that's a big thing as well. Like you said, like having the right stuff, the right snacks at hand in between the rounds on the day, like that's part of the preparation then as well. That sometimes can go unthought of, I suppose. You think like, oh, just turn up and sure, I'll just compete because like at a national tournament, maybe only have 2 matches, maybe 3, so it all runs off fairly fast. But like you said, at a Worlds or Europeans, it could run on for a little bit of time, or even go across a couple of days, and you need to plan and be prepared for the situation. Like be prepared to have yourself ready to perform. So like you have to have went to the shop, have went to, like have got done a bit of shopping, and make sure you have the right stuff that you need.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, well, like I think for, or certainly for kind of regular competitors, like you are prepping for those 5. Like nobody preps for one round because
Yeah, yeah,
you don't you don't expect to go out first round. I mean, it happens, and like at the end of the day, sometimes just the other person's better or whatever. Like it's a game of points, and but yeah, you have to still be ready to go the long haul, I suppose.
yeah. And not turning up just on the, it'll be grand, kind of. I'll sure I'll be fine. um,
Yeah, yeah.
and then so like, how do you find then? You said you're in the fourth year of college. How do you find balancing college and compete and training to compete? And if you work as well, I'm not totally sure if you work as well. But if you do, how do you balance that in as well?
um, in all honesty, it was probably a lot of difficulty. I mean, like first year of uni, I don't think it was particularly difficult because it's more just kind of learning the basics of um, what you've kind of done in 6th year at school. That's kind of most of what my course was about. It wasn't really like super challenging in terms of the workload. But yeah, definitely since I've done probably second and third, definitely last year I could feel it. Because I work for my instructor taking Taekwondo classes and gym classes as well. So like spin and CrossFit and stuff like that. Um, and then obviously try to get my own training in on top of like teaching the classes. A lot of it's just myself. Like I just train myself most of the time. Um, yeah, it's definitely difficult, but I think when you have so much on as well, it kind of forces you to almost be good at time management because if you want to do all of these things, you have to be able to make time for them all. So I think a little bit of motivation and drive to be able to like want to compete, want to win. That's mostly what kind of fuels me to keep going. But yeah, definitely by the time I kind of hit Christmas time and the end of the year, I'm more than ready for a bit of a rest and to try and catch up on some sleep.
Yeah. So do you find, like you said, do you find that the fact you are constantly busy, you do have to be structured. Like you have to plan out each day and know, well, this is the time I can get my training in because I have this on at this time and I have this on at another time. So you have a good bit of structure to the day, which could help.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't think I could just wing it, because sometimes my days are literally like I've got an hour spare between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m., and it could be between classes. Often I'll go to the gym at my uni, and even if it's just a run on the treadmill or whatever for half an hour, 45 minutes, like that's what I'll do. And that just has to be my training for that day. But yeah, I do try to get kind of in the dojang at least once a day, just to kind of run through stuff. But yeah, if I'm not prepared, then I don't know where I would be. Probably in the team at least.
And yeah, like that. Then, what does the kind of training schedule look like in terms of, like, you said, cardio sessions, strength condition sessions, taekwondo sessions? Like, what's kind of the balance that you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of changed over the years, because obviously when I was in for 50s, I didn't really like touch a lot of weight work or anything like that. Just in terms of like putting on too much muscle mass, and then even more of a struggle to get to 50s, because it's like once you're in that group, like I wasn't really going to be bulking 6 kilos in the space of 2 weeks or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of changed a lot. Now I do a lot more kind of, not even weight work, but just like a lot of like functional movements, and try to incorporate that a little bit more. A lot more almost like rehab stuff, to try and keep myself in better shape. Like, I think as well with the course that I'm doing at uni, and just obviously getting older and understanding things a little bit more, like I do see how much more important it is to train smart rather than just run for like 3 hours. That's what I used to do when I was younger. Like, I just get up, go for a run, and just not stop running until I got back home, really. And I would just keep doing that. So yeah, I definitely think that the way I train nowadays is probably less in terms of like the volume of training I'm doing, but smarter. It's more specific, so it works better.
Yeah, I think when you're in that age, like, and you first kind of come onto the team and start competing at that level, you just think you have to just train as much as you can. It's like, if I'm not training, I'm not going to do well. Like, I have to be constantly training. Like you said, the more experience you have, and like you say, the course obviously that you're doing in college helps to educate that educate you there, that it's, you're better off doing less sessions, but like you said, quality over the quantity of sessions.
Yeah, and I think, it can actually be really hard to do that, like make a conscious decision not to train in a day, and be like, okay, I'm not training today because I've already trained like 8 times this week. Like, I need to let my body rest and recover. And like, if you're used to training full pelt every day of the week after week after week, then it's difficult to make that choice not to train that day. And for a lot of people, that again, it goes back to in your head, like, if you're not training, you're not going to do well. But sometimes it's the opposite. You have to give yourself that recovery period.
Yeah. Do you find that it's only kind of, I find myself that it's only when I look back, maybe the way I would have trained before or anything like that. It's at the time, it didn't feel like I was. At the time, you felt great. You felt like you were doing the right thing. It's only now when you look back and you go, "Well, that was a bit stupid that I was doing that." I
Yeah,
thought I used my strength. Yeah,
definitely.
it's when you look back now, you're kind of like, why was I? At the time, I felt it was the best thing I was doing. I was doing 100% the right thing. Then you look back and just, no, that was so stupid.
Yeah, and you look back and you're like, I would never do that now. Like, that, there's no aid of my training in what I was doing or whatever, like stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you think it's right at the time, and I suppose you feel good for doing it. And if you're able to push yourself to train like by yourself, going out running early mornings, like especially kind of junior level before school or before work even, like, then you've got the right mindset. You just need to the knowledge to train
Yeah.
the kind of more specific level.
Do you find you said you do a good lot of training by yourself. Do you find that hard sometimes to stay motivated?
Yeah, I think as well, like with the kind of the amount of uni work, especially in the last year and a half that I've had to do, like sometimes you're like, oh, now I've got to go get sweaty and push myself and whatever. And I think that it's always in the back of my head, like you train like someone's watching you all the time, whether they are or not. But yeah, sometimes can be hard. Kind of the last year or so, we've had a few juniors come through our club, um, which has been really helpful, like in terms of my own training, because I can then start to try and pull some of them, and like they're super keen because they're starting out and all the rest of it. So yeah, they'll start coming to train, and they're all junior boys. So by the time they're a little bit older, then it's handy, like it's good people to train with. But for a long time, kind of a couple of years ago, I was just always kind of there myself. There's not like I live quite well, I live like northeast, and so most of the team are down south, like Glasgow, Edinburgh type areas. So yeah, it can be quite isolated up up in the sticks, as they would call it.
But yeah, because I think definitely it does help if you have a team of people, a group of people around you, even if it's sometimes if it's just one other person to keep you accountable and keep you motivated. That helps a lot in your training, especially because like it could be a training campaign is a couple of months, 12 could be even sometimes be 50 up to 15 weeks of a stretch like to before you step on the floor. So to stay motivated for that length of time can be hard if you're trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, um, kind of before Germany and Bosnia, me and one of the guys from my club, we were doing like early morning sessions, and he's still only in fourth year, so at school. So in terms of like those sessions, like sometimes you just wake up, you're both just standing there in the dojo, and you're like, you don't even need to talk. You're like, okay, let's just get done, get to work or school, and like you do so much better after it. But yeah, it's definitely handy to have a good support network around you.
Yeah, especially when you're getting up in the cold mornings when you get up are the hard ones.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
are thick and fast here as well. Like there's not often you get up and it's a nice morning.
yeah. If we could, warm weather training, if we could bring that in, like without having to actually go to the water, like if you could just change it, you wake up and it's like it's going to be some bit warm out or sunny, like that'd be great.
Oh, it would be nice. Yeah, a nice change from freezing cold wind battering off your face and pouring rain.
And like one thing, like just going back to the Worlds in Germany. What did you think as well of the finals being on the side rings? Would you have preferred to have went up onto the centre stage? Because I was only talking to one of the other guys the other day. It was Thomas actually. I was talking to Thomas, and he had the same thing where he was in the final and they had it on the sides, just on one of the side rings, and I kind of said like watching it, it looked like, and I was asking him, did it feel like you were in the final of the World Championships? Now maybe it did because you won, but in terms of the setup, would you have liked to move to the centre ring and have a bit more of an occasion with the whole tournament watching that one match?
um, yeah, I mean, I suppose because they'd moved it to the like 2 days later or a day later for me, like most rings running were semis and finals. So in terms of like it feeling a little bit more special, I think it did because it was only semis and finals. I think if it'd been like regular tournament, then yeah, definitely. And I've done like the center ring bouts and finals and things like that, and yeah, definitely it does amplify it and make you go, wow, like everybody's watching here, like I need to make sure I'm on my A game. But Yeah, I mean, it's always nice when that happens. It's just, I suppose, it always comes down to logistics of tournaments, like how often can all the divisions get up on the centre for their finals.
Yeah. Well, no, like even for the people like around who wouldn't be competing, that you want to see the final of every division. But like they were sometimes running two finals at the same time. I was like, I would have liked to have seen every final go to the centre stage and know, all right, that's definitely the final there. That was just one thing I thought from that tournament, that there was a good lot of matches that I missed and didn't see because I was maybe on one side and there was another one on the other side of the arena. But it'd been nice. One thing I would have thought, if they stuck all the finals on centre stage and kind of said like, well, this is the final of this division, and everybody around could take notice of of the match going on and the person who wins. But
Yeah, and I think as well, because it's like you're saying, like it's such an achievement to win even like 4 rounds in a row or going to the fifth round. Like people deserve to be kind of recognized for that, and not even necessarily who wins or who loses, but like in terms of the effort and determination it takes, like that should be recognized in itself. I think as well in Germany, because the stands, like the viewing stands, were so high on the rings, like it felt like you couldn't be at the kind of the action. Like I
yeah,
started felt that like you felt far away from what was going on, and like it was easy to kind of lose track and focus and be like, oh, I'll just look over there, or I'll just look at this, rather than when you're down at ringside, then that's really when you can enjoy it. So I
yeah.
think that really helped in terms of like getting the team involved and stuff like that as well, for me anyway.
Yeah, because definitely I had it in Germany, and I've had it one or two other places as well. But Germany is, I suppose, the most where recent time I had it is where the couple of days before you compete, you're kind of, it's like you're watching a taekwondo tournament, like you're from afar, and then as soon as you go out then to go down by the ring, you kind of look around and you're kind of like, oh shit, I'm in the tournament now. You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm in the taekwondo tournament now. It's like it's a way different atmosphere down there. There's a lot of people next to the rings there buzzing around doing their thing. There's coaches moving, there's umpires, there's people being called over here and there, and it's completely different. It's a lot more chaos than that kind of down there, and like that you kind of like, oh geez, this is a way different feel and atmosphere down here than you thought it was up in the stand.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well it goes from like everyone in the stands is relatively kind of relaxed and chilled out because they're in the
Yeah,
stands, they're watching, but as soon as you're down there on the floor, like that's game time, and people are nervous and getting buzzed up, ready to go, and you're like, oh, okay, like
yeah. It was like in Germany, it
can
felt
be
like there
relaxed.
was chaos. In Germany, I felt like there was chaos. There's just like it's a completely even different noise level. There's people shouting over here, and just like it's like, whoa, this is different. But like that, I got the gets the nut, like it gets you pumped to go and compete, but it is different. Like I imagine if that was your first time competing at a tournament and you got that feeling, like that would definitely could send you the other way nearly and get you more nervous. But yeah, it's definitely different. I find a tournament sometimes when from being up in the stand to stepping down close to the ring, it's a different vibe.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think the only one that I can think of as well, like that was pretty bad in terms of separating the crowd from the mats, was Benidorm in 2013 for the World,
Yeah,
and it was super high up stands, and then it was just like a regular competition arena down on the floor, and you're like, well, this is completely completely different. People are watching basically the top of your head as you sparred.
yeah. Like I did notice that there as well. And by the time I got down ringside, it had the other effect. I didn't get so pumped and didn't perform very well. But so yeah, I have had both sides of that. Yeah, the Benidorm was definitely another one. Yeah, where you were very far back. Great that in the
Yeah.
stands you could see everything. You could see all the rings and you could see what was happening. But like that, when you got down ringside, it was a lot different.
Yeah, and in terms of like some competitors need that, like they need their team, round them cheering and all the rest of it. And when they're so separated, like it does become difficult. And does kind of bring it back to like how well have you really prepped? How do you control yourself in terms of like your emotions and things like that? Like it's an interesting one, that actually.
And which would you say, like in terms of all the tournaments like that, the setup, which would you say has been your favorite? Or maybe the Worlds in Germany is the obvious one, but in terms of uh, like that setups or everything, like the setup of the tournament, the way it felt in ringside, and then maybe the result, what would you say has been your favorite tournament?
Um, oh, that is quite hard. I have like it's difficult because I always have my like standout memories. I have like favorite tournaments for different reasons. Like in Finland, I loved that tournament because it was my final junior one. So that was really good. And it was like such a successful campaign as well for me, like pattern barring, like all the rest of it. And it was a good sort of vibe for that tournament. I think probably like one of my standouts as well has to be when Scotland held the Euros.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I don't think you'll be maybe the same for like the Worlds in Ireland. Like I don't think you can really beat winning on your own sort of turf and in front of your home crowd. Like I think that's definitely one of the most special feelings that you can get. Like I don't think it's the same as winning abroad or the rest of it. Like it feels amazing if you go in far in all these different countries and you win, but there's something different about being at home and doing it.
yeah, definitely. I didn't in the lead up to like the Worlds in Ireland, I didn't really think of that much. It's only like after having won where like, yeah, that was actually, I'm so happy. If I was to win anywhere, I'm glad it was in Ireland where like my family would got to be there, because like my mom and dad and at that time my sister wouldn't have been away. She's since been on the team, so like she's been there, but my mom and dad wouldn't have been there. So for them to be there and to win at that one was that made it so much better.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm quite similar, and I usually just go away with my mum as my support team. But when we were in the Scottish Euros, then there was like people from the club that I teach. There was people from clubs all over Scotland, like coming up, like, oh, good luck, all the rest of it. Like I had family friends that had never even been to a class, never mind a tournament, like coming
Yeah,
along to support. So yeah, it was 100% probably the best tournament for me. Like yeah, I think that's probably got to be the best one so far.
yeah. You like that? That was a strange one. Yeah, people from the club have been there because you're in the club and you're telling them what these tournaments are like and how big they are. So like then for them to actually come along and feel that and see it, it was it was cool. It was good for them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time they don't know like what to do because it's so different from your regular national tournaments where even kids nowadays they're getting more and more experience and they know who they're come up against or how they run. But it just steps it up again when you're hitting the Euros or Worlds even. Like it's just a completely different feeling.
Yeah, definitely. But we've got another one just before we finish up. I don't know if you've any if you've an interest maybe in combat sports like boxing, MMA, or anything outside of Taekwondo. Would you have an interest?
Well, I've kind of diced a little bit in like some kickboxing stuff. I've done the odd like full contact fight and things like that. But yeah, mostly to be honest, like I'm just my regular taekwondo. I mean, I
Yeah.
can say like I sit and watch like MMA and boxing fights and things on my phone and kind of keep
Ah,
in touch with like I know people that like a lot of people that I train with and that do kickboxing and stuff as well, which is totally cool. I think sometimes I just don't have time to do more, so
yeah.
I just
I only
usually
ask
just
because
stick, but
I only ask because my next
it's just
question is has been asking a couple of people. I've been asked that last week. Who would be your favorite fighter? Any sport, any combat, like it could be, like I said, boxing, MMA, could be taekwondo, could be kickboxing. If you had to pick one fighter, who would be your favorite fighter?
ooh, uh, that's really hard.
I know it's a good.
um,
I'll ask why as well then in a second.
favorite one fight. Um, I suppose like to watch one of probably my favorite fighters would be Vitaly at the moment, just
All like
because
hearing
he's
now.
that's the end of the podcast.
I don't know. He's exciting to watch. Already, he is exciting to watch. So yeah,
Yeah, he's exciting to watch. Does a lot of new things coming into Taekwondo nowadays, like kind of bringing back a lot of old style of stuff. And I think actually, like in terms of competition as a whole, not even just him, but like definitely has stepped up again. Like people introducing new stuff, and yeah, I think like there is so many people that are just getting so good, and it makes for amazing tournaments and stuff to watch. Like I watched some of the Irish Open um a couple of weeks ago, and like even just some of the young fighters, I was like, geez, like it's so good to watch nowadays.
yeah, there was a lot of good matches across a lot of divisions at the Irish Open. Like there's a if you took to the YouTube to Brahman Dan, you could watch great fights all day. Like and across
Yeah,
like across male divisions, female divisions, there's just great fights all around. And I thought that was good as well. The fact there was a good lot of people from Taekwondo, like names that you know, that you were able to got
yeah.
your watch.
And I think I always give them, you're like, oh yeah, I know you. I'll give you a little bit of my support now because you're in a different ring. But hats off, like yeah, definitely. I think it's evolving all the time, and it's so good to watch. I think I lose hours of my day just like scrolling Instagram and stuff, just watching people fighting, people I don't even know, and just kind of taking on board what everyone's doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think everybody's the same. Like they're just constantly watching something, somebody doing something, see can you pick something up.
Yeah, try it yourself. Usually I can't manage and like fall flat on my face, but it's cool because I train by myself, so it's fine.
That's what helps. I find even if I try it myself and it's not something I'm going to use, it could be something that you could maybe try to bring into a class, and then maybe somebody else could use it, or they could make it their own, and they could try it. And if it works for them, then great.
Yeah, as well, like that makes like yeah, a good teacher as well. If something that you're not necessarily good at or can kind of find a flow to, but you introduce it to other people and are good enough or can manage to explain it well enough that they can then find their flow. And not everyone's going to be the same, have the same strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, in terms of like teaching and things like that, it's so important to be able to adapt and teach people to find their own style rather than just try to copy what you do, because like what I do is different from what 99% of my students will do. So yeah, it's definitely good to be able to adapt and things like that. So 100%.
And do you think the Euros is going to happen this year?
Uh, I'd like to say yes, but to be honest, I don't think so because it's just it's just manic at the moment. Like it seems like it's just not gonna, in terms of like logistics, if the World Cup goes ahead, like
Not
where
even
are they
holding
gonna
my
put the
breath with that.
Euros? Yeah, me too as well. But yeah, it's just it comes down to like a money thing as well for a lot of people in terms of taekwondo. Like there's no funding, so do like
100%.
how do you afford to pay possibly tournaments and not get to go to two? So yeah, I'd like to say yes, but I think it's more a write off for this year.
Yeah, I like that. It's it's grand to say, oh yeah, the tournament's going to take place, but all gyms are closed. So how are people going to train? So I was going to say, yeah, the tournament will be on, but if people don't train, then they're not going to go. And like you said, and then there's the money. So people aren't going to spend money to go to a tournament they haven't trained for. So if nobody turns up, then there's no tournament. So I think that's a bit. I think, like you said, yeah, I think this year is going to be a write off for tournaments and competing.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, as hard a decision as it is as well, like, I mean, I haven't missed a Euro since 2012. This is my first one that, like, I've not been at, or it is no tournament. It's a little bit different, but like, like you say, like, if you've not trained for it, you can't do yourself justice by going and kind of doing like a half-assed effort. Like, I think they're better just to give people the time to bounce back after all of this and really try to get back on form and back to normality before a tournament springs up. I just think it's like, it wouldn't be wise to do it, but
yeah,
I suppose we'll just have to see.
I was going for, this would have been my 11th Euros in a row, so to not go, it's kind of, not to be one, is kind of strange. Yeah, it's been, I'm around a good bit now. It feels like I'm around forever. Like, I'm feeling very old at times, but not being too old, like 25. But it feels like, just because of so many tournaments done, it feels like I'm around the ages. Even like this year, I was the oldest person on our team this year. Now, only by about 2 weeks. Like Sarah Lahan's only a small bit, is only 2 weeks younger. So like, we were the two oldest on the team this year, which is it's kind of, it's a scary thing.
I mean, we do have some seniors. Like, I'm 22 next week, but yeah, I'm the same. Like, on the team since I was 13, like, training with them all. So to kind of go from being at the very, very bottom, the youngest, and basically work my way through all the years, to now being like one of the, well, I suppose, like, quite often get put in as like female team captain or whatever, and I'm like, wait, I'm still only like I'm still the baby of the team, but it's really not now. Like, it's definitely a different responsibilities in terms of like looking after the younger ones coming through and things like that. Like, it does feel strange being the older one, but yeah, I mean, I still have Gilles, so he's older, and there's no way he'd be retiring anytime soon, so I'm safe.
It's you don't notice the change. It's like, one moment you're one of the youngest, and then before you know it, you're one of the older people, and you kind of go, you didn't notice. It's only when you stop and look back and go, oh yeah, all those other people who were older are gone, and now it's me.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, like, people that when I was younger, that I would have looked up at being kind of in this position now, like, they're all gone, and, you know, like, families and things like that, and I'm like, oh my god, like, where have they all disappeared now? But yeah, it's nice to be the one that everyone looks up to in your team, or at least I hope look up to the people that are older. But yeah, it's like a different responsibility and a different role within the team, like with the coaches even as well. Like, you definitely have to kind of take that step and change the way you look at it when you're older.
Yeah, filling different roles on the team. But I think we're at about an hour. We've been chatting for about an hour, I think, and I think it's maybe a good time to finish it up. I don't think I have overly anything I want to chat about, unless you have anything you want to chat about. But
no, I think we've covered quite a lot. I think it's been really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, thanks a million for coming on and having the chat.
No, I've really enjoyed it, actually, and I've listened to I have listened to all other episodes. So yeah, definitely, it's been really nice to actually be on it myself. But I suppose we'll wait and see what it sounds like. Pardon?
Do you think you'll listen back to this one?
Maybe I'll let other people listen first and then put myself through that pain.
Yeah. I've had most of the people who've been on they've listened to the other ones, but they haven't listened back to themselves, because people don't like to hear themselves talk, but yeah. So hopefully you will, and hopefully you'll enjoy listening back.
Yeah, well, maybe. We'll see. I'll probably be forced into listening to parts because I'm sure there'll be people asking me questions or talking to me about it, so I should probably at least pretend I've listened to it.
Yeah, that happens to me. Sometimes I often don't listen to them all back in full, and then somebody will say something, and I'm kind of like, I don't fully remember that small part of a conversation that went on for an hour, over an hour. So it does happen. You have to sometimes be reminded of bits and pieces. But like I said, thanks a million for coming on.
No, thank you.
And hope you keep safe, keep him well, and all that, and hopefully we'll get back training soon.
Yeah, hopefully we get back training and we'll actually get to see everybody again at a tournament, if not this year, next.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Definitely.
Stay safe.
Cheers, Demi. Take it easy.
Bye.